Welcome back to Ready, Set, Sold. I'm your host, Bryan Vogt. Thanks so much for staying with us. And we've been talking a lot of things already in the program. We've talked about the inspections. We've talked about leasing options, title work. And now we're going to talk to something that I think is probably, on a real estate point of view, somewhat misunderstood. And when I mean misunderstood, that is bringing in a professional painting company. And sometimes it's simply, who to get, what questions should you ask. Oftentimes what we find is that people take a much longer time when they try to do it themselves. There's nothing wrong with that, but there's a lot of headaches and there's a lot of things of moving furniture and doing the taping and making sure nothing drips. And look, when you're looking to sell your house, there's a lot of other things that are going on, plus just your life. And so that's why I wanted to have Jim Beaty as a franchise owner of certaPro of Belleville talk about that. Jim, you with us?
Yes, I am.
Jim, thanks so much for joining us. And that's really kind of an issue sometimes that comes into play. You probably hear that, and there's concern of which painter to use or how to get moving forward. And I'd love if you can go into that in more detail.
Thanks, Brian. Really appreciate it. We've been in business for 10 years. We find that our customers, when they come to us, they've got loads of questions. And one of the things that we do point out is that we do carry full general liability insurance. And if you select somebody that doesn't have any insurance, basically the property owner, runs the liability if something's damaged. Could be just parking the car and they run into your car. Little things like that. We also carry workers' comp. Most homeowners don't have workers' comp insurance, but anybody they hire from the outside, even as Joe down the street that's out of a job, if he falls and gets hurt, injures his back, they could end up with another house payment. So we do recommend that you do check to make sure there's insurance by anybody that you choose out there. We take a lot of pride in communicating with the customer, proper documentation of the paperwork, what exactly is being painted, what prep work we have to do, any repairs, what type of paint's going to be used. When homeowners buy a new home, typically the builder says, what color of paint do you want? And that's all they get to choose. They end up with a flat paint that's not washable. We make sure we fit the needs of the customer if they want to stay there a long time or they're just getting ready to sell. You have customers that are buying homes and you got customers that are selling homes. Part of the reason why most people choose us is they don't have enough time to do the project. We can get in and get out fairly quickly. Usually like 2 bedrooms we can do probably in about a half a day of work, and we can paint a house in 2 to 3 days, depending on what's being painted and what's being repaired.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think something that I love that you brought up, and it's one of those things that people don't think about, especially when you're hiring anybody into your house. And I think it's a good rule of thumb, and you brought it out, is there is a potential liability. Now, it's not saying that something bad is going to happen, of course, but having that workers' comp, having that safety. And you know what? Maybe it's a few hours more for that service or whoever it is, whether it be a painter or anyone else. But that's money most sellers we find is well spent. Not only do a great job, but also if something would go wrong, because you made a good point, it could get serious money that you're not making 1 house payment, you're making 2 house payments. So making sure that you have that protection as a home seller, I think is fantastic. And I love what you said about the timing of it too, Jim. But I think the big thing about it is we're coming up to the holidays, and the one thing that I'm going to put it out there, I don't know the answer to this. There's still time for people to get their house painted for everybody coming over and enjoying a great Christmas dinner, isn't there?
Yes, there is. Yeah, we're taking orders right today that we can do next week. So it's not impossible, and it's just a matter of getting the estimate, agreeing on the on what's going to be done and moving forward. We take several methods of payment. We take checks, we take credit cards, and if somebody's selling, one of the features we do offer is a 12-month same as cash. They could actually get the painting done and use that money from the bank to basically get their house ready and then pay for it out of the closing, which is, I think, ideal.
I love that because, again, so you solve a lot of problems sometimes if the seller is potentially financially strapped, or maybe sometimes sellers do have a lot of equity into their houses. So that's a very easy way to do the process. I love that idea, and I love what you're talking about too. Again, the ability to not just having the painting, which great work there, but it's all the other things that get tied into it that sometimes we as sellers don't know, they don't think about, is that, where's this all going to end up at? So you have the protection, things can get done quickly, and that you also have flexibility in payments. And you're not going to get that, and I'm not knocking this, I actually know a few people, but from that neighborhood paint guy. It doesn't mean he doesn't do a good job, but again, when it really comes down to it, the protection that a professional like yourself, Jim, offers is something that sellers really need to be aware of. And I'll speak on the real estate side a little bit. The time factor, we just had a situation we heard about where a seller was going to put their house on the market. They knew they needed to get their house painted. They knew the living room and the dining room and those areas needed to be done. And the plan was they were going to be weekend warriors. God love them. But guess what? A month and a half later, they still hadn't quite gotten it done. And guess what? They brought in a professional, knocked it out, similar to you, Jim, in a half a day. And they kind of laughed at themselves that they wish they had just started with a professional to begin with. And we're running out of time. I just want to mention I've been talking with Jim Beaty, franchise owner of certaPro. Had some great information. And again, if you're thinking about selling or maybe still a holiday season, there's time to get those rooms painted. So with that, we will be back with the tip of the week. Stay tuned.